Wuthering Waves has given us quite a few profound, deep, and downright amazing stories these past few patches. Whether it be Cardathia's story revolving around her defying her fate, Chacona's story about wanting to become more than she once was, or Lupa's story about perseverance and fighting for what you believe in. But why is it this story that impacted me the most? Phrolova's story quest, which acts as the main quest for patch 2.5, has sent ripples through the entire community. Anyone talking about it is either in shock, depressed, or angry. After going through all those stages of emotions and letting the story sink in a bit, I wanted to share my thoughts and open the discussion. So please let me know in the comments what you thought about Phrolova's story and what it means for the future of the plot. Spoilers ahead, of course. Let's start by looking at the sad girl herself. Phrolova's backstory is filled with raw emotions and profound sadness. Losing everything and everyone she loves and losing herself in the obsession to bring them back. Honestly, her crash out makes total sense. Losing her hometown right in front of her for no apparent reason is extremely traumatic and could turn anyone evil. Coupled with the fact that she did the morning performance without the audience knowing why, the fated meeting with Rover and their promise, and the constant manipulation by the grand architect of the Fractsidus, her path down this road was laid the moment she stepped out of the ruins of her hometown. During her story, we essentially see her on one of the many tries to get her loved ones back, which always end in failure. However, this time she's joined by the one who forgot their promise to her by wiping their memories, and we get a glimpse of how they might have been as companions. Of course, we all know how it ends. Phrolova fails once again, seemingly fucking dies, or at least her current physical form does, and she decides to stay in the realm she created from the frequencies of her loved ones. Only this time, Rover can basically intrude and see her in her most vulnerable form. In her Midnight podcast episode, which released yesterday, it's once again hammered home that she's still around in one way or another. She also harbors no real ill will towards Rover and contemplates how things might have been and how she will continue with her goal. I love Phrolova as a character. Her story is extremely moving and we can all relate to her feelings. I was in immense shock at the end of the story and really needed a few days to collect my thoughts. Phrolova deserves better in life, and part of me really wishes we could have gotten a happier ending. But she's still a villain. She's going to unrealistic and downright evil lengths to get what she wants. How pure her goals might be. While the last glance to Rover before she disappears in her realm might be a hint to something else, like she actually wanted Rover to pull her out, it's always been her own choice. That brings me to my second point, Rover's role in the story. I see a lot of knee-jerk reactions when it comes to this story, and they end up in hatred or disapproval towards Rover, as they promised Phrolova to be at her side no matter what by implying to come to her next performance, which Phrolova constantly reminds herself and Rover about. Reading her diary in her realm once again emphasizes that she really wished Rover would show up to help her. When they didn't, the Fractsidus offered their hand instead. So yeah, Rover had a role in creating the Phrolova we see before us, as it was Rover not sticking to their promise that broke the camel's back. But I don't think this is an L Rover moment, but rather Phrolova and the plot holding up a mirror to them, as Phrolova herself calls Rover out when they say she went too far. Rover went further than anyone else ever could by wiping their memories and forgoing their human connections, which are Phrolova's only reason to keep going. Rover didn't create Phrolova, but to quote a certain sci-fi villain, she is the monument to all their sins. This is also a sharp contrast to other characters that knew the past Rover like Camellia and Shorekeeper, as both of them managed to somehow move on in their own way, whilst keeping Rover and their bonds in the back of their mind. Phrolova, on the other hand, waited, and kept waiting for her apparent savior who just wouldn't show up. It's completely reasonable why she stopped waiting, but the alternative she chose herself was far worse. And she accepts that with her final diary entry, as all she wants now is a sharpened sword, not friends. Another interesting contrast between her and Shorekeeper specifically is how they both blur the lines between the physical world and the Sonoros, as they both traded one for the other in the hopes of connecting with loved ones, whether it be the villagers or Rover. In the end, however, depending on how you interpret it, Rover does end up taking some kind of responsibility following their fight with Fenrico, as now they hold a special bond with Phrolova by the baton they now have and the frequency slash sonoro slash magic system connection they have because of it. And I think Phrolova accepts it and is sort of happy for it, as while she doesn't outright say it, I think she does accept us visiting her realm. She doesn't turn hostile, but only defends her loved ones. And in her Midnight Podcast episode, she engages in conversation with Rover and says she hopes we can make the impossible a reality together. Of course, Phrolova is never going to stop searching for what she wants. That is the bet she made and she must lay in it. It's up to Rover's next actions to see if we can set her on the right path. Lastly, I want to briefly discuss the broader lore implications Phrolova's story has at the moment. Firstly, we basically lost a villain, as both Phrolova's physical body and hatred for Rover seem to have gone. I doubt we'll see the Grand Architect soon, as we first have to get rid of Cristofo, and we have yet to meet the 4th Overseer, but this does open up the door to more antagonists in the story. Furthermore, the backstory of Phrolova was so well written that I really hope the other villains get the same treatment. I mean, Scar is still just Scar. He deserves some more lore, I think. I also think that this story was a nice addition to the overall lore surrounding Wuthering Waves' magic system. You know, everything about echoes and sonoros. This was given an extra layer due to Phrolova's manipulation of them, so it really begs for more exploration. If it wasn't already clear from all my yapping, I absolutely love Phrolova's story. It was extremely emotional, gave a good amount of backstory, and also brought Rover's backstory and motivations into the question and back into the foreground. I can't wait to see what to do next with our new favorite sad girl. But what do you think about Phrolova's story? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, as I post regular deep dives and reviews into the games I love. I'm actually planning to upload another Wuthering Waves video in the near future.